Hi, I'm Judy Litt, and I want to talk to you a little bit about spring as Ayurveda sees it. I'm looking over there because my dog is sniffing around. He wants to come and join us, but you can't, well, you can see him a little bit. Anyway, so spring, excuse me, according to Ayurveda, it is what is called Kapha season. If you're familiar with the three doshas, then you may know what Kapha is. Um, Kapha Ayurveda deals with five elements. Can't believe that. It deals with five elements, and each season has two elements in it. Spring, Kapha season, has water plus earth, which is also the elements that Kapha is generally made of. I personally am a very strong Kapha constitution. Okay, so, and actually, if you are Kapha, then spring can be a very difficult season because according to Ayurveda, like increases like. So spring is Kapha, is water and earth, and you are already have a lot of water and earth in you. If you are predominantly Kapha, everybody has, there are three doshas, everybody has all three in them. Generally, they have one that is more predominant than the other. So, because it's a very wet season, we know this, April showers, right? April showers bring May flowers. We need the water for the rebirth cycle. It can throw you out of whack. is the nugget I'm trying to impart. It can help you to become imbalanced because there's too much kapha. Can leave you prone to things like upper respiratory infections. Okay, let's move on. Water. Water is very soft. It can be very soft and very flexible, and earth is very grounded and very solid. Okay, now we're moving on. So kapha has some really good characteristics, and they are generally have a lot of stamina. People who are very kapha predominant have a lot of stamina. And they have generally good immunity, except when they're out of balance. They're resilient, they're generous, and there's lots more. I am not an expert on Ayurveda. I am not an Ayurveda doctor or counselor. Okay, so the tastes to favor in spring, because Ayurveda breaks down food into 6 different tastes, and each season has different tastes that balance that season. What, sweetie? So, to balance the water and earth elements in spring, he's making this a little difficult. You want to favor astringent and bitter, both very drying. Okay, wet season, we want to dry out. And spicy as well. And I've got a few tips for you here. One of the things you should do, especially if you're Kapha, the Kapha constitution, this is something you should try and do year-round, but very importantly in the spring, you want to have early, brisk exercise. You want to break a sweat, whatever that looks like. It could just be a brisk walk. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. And you want to try and get that in between about 6 a.m. and 10 a.m., which corresponds to Kapha, according to Ayurveda, on the clock. All right? And note how you feel afterwards, too. You don't want to overdo it, obviously, so don't go crazy. You just want to get the heart pumping, get a little heated to balance the very cool and wet characteristics of spring. Dry brushing is another great thing to get used to. Dry brushing is great for your circulation. It is heating. It helps to drain lymph. And when you're dry brushing, you want to brush from your extremities towards your heart. You're trying to get that lymph back towards the heart. What else does it do? It can help increase energy as well. This is another thing I suggest you do year-round. I do it before I shower. It's really very soothing. I enjoy it. Okay. You want light, warm foods. You don't want a whole lot of raw foods and raw and cold foods in spring. That's going to push you more towards an imbalance because spring is already very wet. And unfortunately, where a lot of people live, like I do, it can be very cool. We wish it weren't so. I am filming this just a few weeks before spring starts. There is snow outside. It is cold. I filmed one practice earlier where I wasn't wearing a sweater, and as I'm doing it, I was like, oh my God, I'm cold. Why am I doing this? So you want to warm up. Foods to favor in the spring season. Again, we want to be warm. So spicy. Particularly spices like cinnamon, turmeric, cumin, what else? Ginger, all very warming. Some of those are also very drying. Then we want astringent foods. So astringents are also very drying. We're going to see a theme here. And those are foods like greens, asparagus, artichokes, beets, beans. And then there's bitter foods, which are once again very drying. And those are our cruciferous foods: cauliflower, broccoli, radishes, and greens. And one last tip I'd like to give you: if you're feeling a scratchy throat, you feel like a cold is coming on, one of my favorite things to do, and it tastes really, really good, equal parts of turmeric, ginger, cinnamon, and black pepper. Mix that together and then bind it with honey. So pour honey over it and mix it until it's just, all mixed together. You could actually eat it right off a spoon. It tastes really, really good that way. You can put it on oatmeal. You can put it, if you're eating toast, you can put it on toast. What else can you put it on? You can put it on quinoa if you're having quinoa. If you do pancakes and waffles, which I'm not sure that I suggest you do that so much, but instead of maple syrup, you can try this honey mixture. And like I said, it really tastes good. It's like a candy. So, and yes, on those food lists, you will notice some of the foods actually do show up on more than one list, like greens. Greens are both bitter and astringent. And bitter and astringent, both very drying, and they're really going to help us during Kapha season. Okay, I hope you learned something today. I hope you have something from these tips that I've shared with you that you're going to try, or maybe you're going to do more often. Maybe you're going to bring in some of these foods I have suggested to help balance you through the spring season. One last tip. Spring is a great season for a cleanse. And that doesn't mean a juice cleanse. In fact, that wouldn't most likely be very good. But, choosing very healing foods, like some of the foods that I've given to you on this list, really decreasing the amount of sugar that you're consuming, the amount of wheat that you're consuming. I'm not saying you have to get rid of it altogether, but just decreasing it, it's going to help keep you healthier. Okay, so again, I hope that you've learned something from this short talk. I hope that you have a few tips, or at least one tip that you want to try. Let me know what that is. Let me know how it works for you. And stay tuned, because after this talk, I have a really nice, both calming and energizing yin yoga practice at the wall. So that can actually help you a great deal. It can feel a little easier sometimes, but you're getting all the benefits of yin yoga. And after that, I have a nice meditation. So welcome to spring. If you are in the northern hemisphere like me and you live up in a cold, dry, windy area, we are ready for you, spring.